Whoa, that was a long 60 minutes of football yesterday afternoon. It wasn't pretty. At points, it was downright ugly. But ultimately, at the end of the day, when it mattered most, the Chicago Bears found a way to pull off a 25-24 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders. Look out, world. The Chicago Bears are on the rise. Welcome back to Bears Yard. This your boy Vipe, and we have reached a point in the NFL season where the Chicago Bears have arrived at their bye week. Now, if you watched the first two games of this year when the Bears gave away a game to the Vikings and then got stomped out of Detroit, you would have thought that the Bears could potentially be heading into this bye week 0-4 the way they were playing. But at last, that is not the case. Our Chicago Bears find themselves 2-2 heading into this bye week with victories over the Cowboys and then yesterday over the Las Vegas Raiders. Like I said in the intro, it wasn't pretty. At times, it was downright ugly, but they showed up when it mattered most. The big problem for the Chicago Bears right now are basically on the line of scrimmage. They can't block the run, and they can't stop the run. So teams are running against us, and we can't run against anybody. And even though we got the victory yesterday, I don't know how long you can play football like that and continue to win football games in the National Football League. You got to be able to establish a lot of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And right now, the Bears are just not doing that. Now, luckily, the pass protection is doing enough to keep Caleb Williams upright and letting him go to work. Although yesterday, he was under constant pressure by Matt Crosby, but Matt Crosby is a unicorn. That dude is one of the best players in the league, so that's no surprise. But this whole inability to run the ball is a problem. Now, I know some people say that DeAndre Swift can't run the ball. He doesn't have the vision and different things like that. And maybe some of that is true, but I don't know if it matters who's running the ball if the line's not creating holes for the running back to run through. I mean, sometimes yesterday you had DeAndre Swift, as soon as he got the ball, there was somebody on him in the backfield. Like, what are we doing here? I'm not understanding why the running game can't get going, why this offensive line cannot run block to save their lives. And then on the other side of the ball, Ashton Jeanty had his breakout rookie game, rushing for some 160 yards or whatever. It was just not a good look. Bears couldn't tackle him. He was running through contact. I mean, we know that's what he does, but up until this point, he had not had a 100-yard game in the league until, of course, he met the Bears defense yesterday. So it was just not a good look. However, despite all of these things I just highlighted, the Chicago Bears won the game. So how did the Bears win the game yesterday? Well, they found a way to tough it out. As much as Caleb Williams went under duress from Matt Crosby and the Raiders all game long, when it mattered most, he delivered in the clutch. Fourth quarter game-winning drive led them all the way down the field, where ultimately DeAndre Swift ran in for a touchdown. I know, given what I just said in the first part of the video, kind of crazy that we ran in for a running touchdown to win the game ultimately. And then, even though we got that touchdown to take the lead late in the game, it still left the Raiders with enough time to come back and kick a field goal to win. However, the Bears special team came into play because on the game-winning field goal attempt from the Las Vegas Raiders, Josh Blackwell comes up with a block field goal to preserve the win for the Chicago Bears, which is crazy. We never get those things to go our way. All of y'all remember last year when the Bears attempted to win the game against the Packers and the Packers blocked our kick and preserved the win that way. Usually, we are on the other end of these type of things, but yesterday it went in our favor, so that was definitely legit in my book. Also, on the way to the Bears winning that game, the defense came up big. Even though they couldn't stop Ashton Jeanty, they still came up with 4 takeaways. Kevin Byard with 2 interceptions of Geno Smith. Tyreek Stevenson added another interception, and then Tyreek Stevenson had a fumble recovery earlier when I think it was Andrew Billings. No, it was Noah Sewell who popped Ashton Jeanty and made him fumble, and Stevenson recovered the fumble. So that amounted to 4 takeaways for the Bears defense. And, it's funny watching that game. Even though the defense was taking the ball away early, the offense was literally doing nothing about it as far as taking advantage of it. But the defense still kept the Bears in the game, and ultimately the offense was able to win it at the end. Again, it was not a perfect game. There are a lot of things that the Chicago Bears will need to clean up over the bye week. Somebody who will need to get their hair right over the bye week is Cole Kmet, because Cole Kmet probably had his worst game of his NFL career yesterday. The man dropped an easy open pass from Caleb Williams. He had 2 false starts. He was just bad yesterday. It was bad by Cole Kmet. I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to excommunicado him after one game, but bro, if you can't get yourself together, Cole Kmet, you're not going to be here much longer, because we know that Ben Johnson is weaving out the players that are going to be about that life, and those who aren't going to be about that life will be out the door at the end of the season. So Cole Kmet, you better figure it out sooner rather than later. The other cool thing to come from this game is that the Bears, to my knowledge, suffered no major injury. So we can go into the bye and get our already injured players healthy. Players like Kyler Gordon, who didn't play, Grady Jarrett didn't play, Colston Loveland didn't play. Obviously, Jalen Johnson is out probably for the season. Maybe he might come back if the Bears make a playoff run. But Austin Booker, who's been on IR for the entire season, now has a chance to come back in week 6 versus the Commanders, and all of these other players that I just mentioned. We get to get healthy. And if it's one thing that the Bears have not been this season, it is healthy. There's always somebody injured or out or hurt or different things like that. And now we get a chance to go into the bye, heal up, get some players back healthy, and go into Washington and have our revenge game here in week 6 versus the Commanders on Monday Night Football. One notable thing that happened in yesterday's game was we had a double swap at offensive tackle. Braxton Jones got yanked. Theo Benedict moved from right tackle to left tackle. And Ozzie Trapillo, the rookie second rounder from Boston College, made his NFL debut yesterday. Now, Braxton Jones got yanked because he was giving up some pressure and different things like that. And there was one play where he didn't block the right guy, and it led to Caleb, I think, getting snapped or something like that. And I think that's when Ben Johnson said, all right, we're bringing in Trapillo. We're going to move Benedict to her left. And from that point on, the offensive line played a lot better as far as giving Caleb time to throw the ball, having Max Crappie under control and different things like that. Now, is this not going to be one that Ben Johnson uses going forward? I don't know. But they definitely were effective yesterday with Benedict at left tackle and Trapillo at right tackle, although another guy down on right who didn't play yesterday, it should be coming back. So I think it could be interesting to see how that plays into the mix. I would imagine that Darnell Wright will reclaim his right tackle spot. I don't think Trapillo is going to take that. And I know some people out there believe that Darnell Wright might be moved to left tackle. I don't see that happening either. I don't think that should happen. So just put Darnell Wright at right, because he was definitely missed yesterday. Have Benedict man to left, because Braxton Jones, I don't think you bring him back. I don't know why you would want to bring him back at left tackle. It's not working. Y'all know how I feel about Braxton Jones. I'm not going to harp on that. And just run with Benedict at left, Darnell Wright at right, and then, Tooney, Dahlman, Jackson in the middle, and see what happens and go from there. We know that Ben Johnson said at the beginning of the season that he was going to use this upcoming bye week, to evaluate how the left tackle position was going. Well, he yanked Braxton Jones before the end of the first half yesterday. So clearly, he was not happy with Braxton, and now he has some decision to make moving into the bye week here right now. But Bear fans, how are you feeling about our team after last night's gutty victory? Drop a comment. Let me know. Make sure you subscribe to The Yard for more things Chicago Bears. And as always, bear down.